Did Jungkook and Taehyung finally reveal their secret relationship? We can't hide it anymore. The sentence, softly yet clearly uttered by Jungkook during a live stream that began casually but ended explosively, was astonishing. Not just because of who said it, but because of who sat beside him. Kim Taehyung, better known as V. This brief statement stopped millions of fans, and even the general public, in their tracks. What did this confession mean? Have two BTS members, long admired for their incredible chemistry, finally come clean about a relationship previously dismissed as fan service? This isn't a new question. Speculation about Jungkook and Taehyung's closeness has existed since BTS's debut. For years, however, there was no clear confirmation, only subtle hints, intimate moments captured on camera, and body language too honest to be coincidental. Now, for the first time in their journey, there's strong indication their relationship is far deeper than a camaraderie between bandmates. The surprising statement occurred in a live stream after a Seoul concert. The atmosphere was initially relaxed. Two idols sat side by side, wearing hoodies, discussing light topics like favorite foods and trainee memories. But the mood shifted when a fan asked, "Who's the most important person in your lives right now?" Jungkook paused, looked at Taehyung, and replied, "You already know the answer. We can't hide it anymore." Public reaction exploded. Social media overflowed with video clips, screenshots, facial expression analyses, and discussions of body language. But long before this confession, ARMY, the name for BTS fans, had been deciphering their codes. From warm backstage hugs and lingering eye contact to lyrics seemingly directed not at the public, but at each other point. One unforgettable moment was when Taehyung appeared exhausted during a Paris concert. Amidst the cheers of thousands, only one person seemed to truly notice his physical state: Jungkook. He approached, gently touched Taehyung's shoulder, giving a look that spoke volumes. The camera captured this moment, and since then, fans have referred to their closeness as the taekook bond, not just a bromance, but something more emotional, personal, and authentic. Their closeness is also evident in their individual artistic works. Jungkook released a song themed around home, and fans immediately speculated about the person he meant in its poignant verses. Meanwhile, Taehyung is known for painting twilight skies and writing short poems. Several of his paintings depict two silhouetted figures standing side by side, with quotes that, upon closer inspection, seem like silent messages to someone he knows intimately. Many say they are each other's home. A metaphor that's not only poetic, but reflects an undefined dynamic. Home doesn't always mean a romantic partner. Sometimes, home is someone who understands your silence, who's present when the world is too loud, who knows when to speak and when to simply be neared. In an interview, Jungkook said, "There's someone who keeps me stable. I'm not naming him because he already knows." This statement was left hanging, without clarification. But the public knew where Jungkook's gaze was directed. And Taehyung? He smiled slightly, said nothing, but briefly placed his hand on Jungkook's shoulder. Their body language continued to speak, even when their mouths were silent. This kind of relationship isn't easily categorized. It's not simply friendship, nor a couple in the narrow sense. Perhaps they are two souls who met on the same journey, choosing to walk side by side, even when the world pushes them in different directions. Perhaps the relationship doesn't need a label, because between them exists an understanding that requires no external validation. Yet, the public wants to know. Because the celebrity world is one of interpretation, and openness is a rare commodity always anticipated. So when the phrase, "we can't hide it anymore," was uttered, it was not only a confession, but a major shift in the narrative that had been built. Of course, the agency hasn't made an official statement. As usual, Big Hit Entertainment chose to not comment on its artists' private lives. But this time, fans aren't waiting for clarification. They have seen, felt, and concluded for themselves that whatever form Jungkook and Taehyung's relationship takes, it's real, honest, and mutually supportive. Many call this bravery. In the famously conservative South Korean entertainment industry, two superstars choosing to no longer hide their emotional closeness is a form of resistance against norms demanding image sterility. Yet, they also aren't exploiting the relationship for sensationalism. They let it grow organically, within a private space that sometimes unintentionally becomes public. So, did Jungkook and Taehyung finally reveal their secret relationship? The answer: not in a formal statement, but in a togetherness that can no longer be hidden. In every unscripted live stream, in every silent moment louder than concert cheers, in every song and artwork silently holding fragments of feeling, they never mentioned a label. But in a world that often forces everything to be named, their closeness is a beautiful exception. A reminder that not all love needs a definition to be real. Sometimes, love just needs to be present and understood. And perhaps that's more than enough. However, behind this touching narrative and seemingly authentic emotional moments, a question arises that cannot be ignored. Is all of this truly real? Does Jungkook and Taehyung's acknowledgement of their closeness truly reflect the truth that has been hidden all along? Or is this merely part of a carefully crafted communication strategy to create a public sensation? Before we get carried away by the romanticization of this story, it's good to pause for a moment. Let's take a breath and ask, are we witnessing the truth, or are we being presented with an illusion? Is it possible that all the clues scattered on social media are merely part of a fan service narrative designed to build emotional appeal among fans? Or is this just a coincidence that has been exaggerated by the public's interpretation that is too sensitive to the interaction of their idols? However, aren't we being too cynical if we immediately conclude all of this as a marketing strategy? On the other hand, we might be too naive if we believe it blindly. Therefore, we need to raise these questions together. As media consumers, it's crucial not to be swept away by emotions. We need to be skeptical. We need to be reflective. We need to question every piece of information we receive, especially when it comes from platforms with algorithms that tend to reinforce our biases and expectations. What we watch on TikTok, read on Twitter, or see on YouTube, all of it has been filtered, both by the content creators and by ourselves as viewers who bring certain expectations. Was there really a confession from Jungkook and Taehyung? Or was it just an interpretation from fans who hoped it would happen? And if it's true that they have a special relationship, why don't they say explicitly? Is it because of social pressure? Because of agency demands? Or because there's nothing to explain because it's all just the collective imagination of the public? Ultimately, we need to realize that truth in the entertainment world isn't always black or white. Often it's gray, cloaked in good intentions, marketing strategies, or even the protection of individual privacy that we're not judging. We're not accusing, but we invite you to think critically, to open a space for discussion, not just to believe or deny, but to analyze clearly and maturely. Because in this digital age, truth is not only about what appears, but also about how we approach it. And at the end of the day, the decision is yours. Is this a silent love? Or is this a scenario too neat to be coincidental? We present this information based on data gathered from various platforms, but it must be emphasized that the full truth of this relationship is still not verifiable. Therefore, remain wise in absorbing information. Don't get caught up in sensationalism. Use your curiosity as a bridge to understanding, not as a trap for assumptions. Thank you for watching. Now, it's your turn to judge.